clicked it. So
You already clicked it? Okay, it's saying it doesn't say you clicked it for me, so I'm okay, cool. Because like if we both went for the button, one of us would have clicked end stream, and that would have looked really stupid.
listen, you gotta be quick if you want to be a part of the Patreon book club.
Yeah, dude. 1 second. It was good. That's it. Hello, chat. Welcome to the manga book club. We were doing a Golden Kamuy chapters 101 through 200. You know who we are. I know who you are. I know where you sleep.
I know what you've done.
I know what you've done, the sins you've committed. I know there's tattoos on your back. I know what they mean. But yeah, we're listening to the fucking Dragon Quest XI OST, by the way. Yeah, so if you want to listen to the music, Jello, I'm streaming it to you.
Yeah, I'm listening. It's already
Okay, I'm
there.
making sure. Last time you didn't pay attention. So
I had it open. It was just microscopic. It was just quiet.
Yeah, this is quiet. Yeah, that's fine. Hello, caught the second one, 1 second book club. Wow, yeah. So shocker.
Dude, let's go. 5 or 6 viewers, lowest book club count ever. Let's fucking do it.
Like, do you think they forgot, or do you think they hate us?
I think a lot of people probably started and tried to read Golden Kamuy and were like, this is not for me, because it does, you know, it does have a lot of valid.
It's a lot of filters, as we would say in the gaming community.
Yeah, speaking of things that would turn you off at the start of a reading, the fucking guy who wants to bang animals arc.
Everyone loves that. Probably my least favorite arc in the entire like show. Like not show, like manga. Yeah. Like it's just this thing of like the only thing it really added, I guess, is it gave like an excuse for fucking Tanigaki to like join the main group, kind of, right? Because it was this whole thing.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
that's like the only use for it, right? Like.
Yeah. No. I feel like thematically the arcs tend to be a little better. Even when it's an arc I don't like. Yeah. I was pretty vocal last time. I didn't like the what's his name, Tenmei. The like straight up just classic. I get a boner from the idea of watching the light leave someone's eyes, like actual serial killer dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't like that Sugimoto's connecting to this guy. And I feel like the narrative is a little weird there.
Yeah.
But I do think there is value in Sugimoto being like, this is how I view myself as a killer. And this is what the war has done to me. And like, I don't think he fully understands at all what Tenmei's deal is. I'm probably saying the wrong name, but like, and you as the reader get to be like, this guy's really fucked up and Sugimoto's not nearly that bad. So like, I think there's value in that thematically. I don't think there's value thematically in the animal fucking arc.
Yeah, it's very fair. Like I don't know, it's just like literally like the only thing I really remember is just like, oh yeah, okay, Tanigaki now joins the main party, cool, that's it, the only reason. And it's just like, I don't know, it's weird. Like I don't know, that like this, the mangaka really has some like interesting like things that it's just like, you know, there's stuff that like I would never see in another manga, like Shiraishi peeing on both his Shirpa and Sugimoto.
I love that moment.
I love that moment.
Not because I like it, but I'm like, what a little lightning in a bottle, perfect encapsulation of the energy of Golden Kamuy, where it's like this big reunion moment, and like they are covered in artistically rendered golden piss flying through the air.
That's the Golden Kamuy.
That's the Golden Kamuy. It is like the 3 only objectively good guy main characters doing shit together, and you're like, they're friends peeing on each other. And that's kind of funny.
Like, but yeah, like, can we all agree that the animal fucking arc did not matter?
Yeah, no, it was not good.
It was not good. I don't like, really, there's not really much to talk about it, because it's like, I think there was like interesting things about like
I guess it's technically Kirovus's introduction, but like he doesn't really matter yet. So
the bit where they both draw eyes on their asses, I love that scene. I'm gonna be real, where they all walk in and it's just like, oh, you had the same idea, amazing. Well, that's like, God. So like, I think we like, obviously someone asked like who your favorite, what what did everyone think and everything, and who's your favorite character. And I think like Ogata's really fucking good.
I love Ogata's one of my favorite characters in anything. He's such a piece of shit. I love
Like
him.
it's this thing of like you can make like an easy like psychopath serial killer character but not give them any depth. But like I like the PTSD and struggles of Ogata is just so fucking amazing, right? Like
It's really funny because like this is why I like passively mentioned it while we were playing Of the Devil, because like Morgan is the only other character who occupies the same space of like, no, we're gonna do a complicated actual clinical psychopath character, and we're not even gonna do the like, hey, obviously not everyone who has psychopathy, like it's not their fault, like not all of them are gonna be murderers. It's just like you get what you roll with your brain, you don't get to pick. I kind of like that they don't use that easy mode. They're like, no, this person is a murderer, and they are like leaning into the evil of like what they could be.
yeah,
But like at the same time, you get to see these little like moments where people slight them, and it's like honestly anyone would have carried that and been fucking mad about it. And I love everything about Ogata. Like I think
like
Ogata and Surumi are I think the standout characters of this series.
His obsession with like defilement, right? Where it's like that whole section with his brother where it's like you think you want to go through this war and end up the only man clean, right? It's just so like, damn, dude. And it's just and seeing like his brother in a Sherpa, right, is like so fair, because Wilk was like, yes, this girl is going to be the future of the Ainu, much like how Ogata's father was trying to turn his brother into like, yeah, you are the perfect man, right?
It's so funny because like I love watching Surumi's relationship with his evil Shiteno of like stupid idiot followers he's tricked, because like he's so good at manipulating them, but they are so broken and crazy that repeatedly they will go off the rails for something that like hits their thing harder than their loyalty to Surumi. So like the obvious one is the twin who always wants to kill Sugimoto no matter what. But like I love Ogata, and I actually didn't clock this on my first read, but you like the last thing we saw was Koito, the darker skinned guy who's like an acrobat. You got his backstory, and they don't do it explicitly, and it was a lot harder to clock on reading serially, but the implication is that the masked Russians, they had one real Russian, and then Surumi sent in Tsukishima, the no-nose guy, and Ogata dressed as Russians to do that, also that to create this moment where Koito would become indebted to Surumi, so Surumi could manipulate the Navy and the Army in the future. And like, so Ogata's been under Surumi's thumb like among the longest of anybody, which is really fun because Ogata's like the Revolver Ocelot of this franchise. He's just like a triple agent who will betray anyone. And good.
So Benedictine points out a point where it's just like the fucking part where one guy finds out Surumi lied about his backstory and just effortlessly parlays it into a new lie. No. He didn't find out Surumi lied. Surumi made him think that he lied so that he could turn it into an even greater tell. That was intentional that he found out that it was a lie.
Yeah, Surumi, you can see Surumi making eye contact with the dude who told him, who was like, I'm from your town, and didn't you hear this? And Surumi's like, good job. The idea that Surumi's like, I'm gonna do whatever I need to, and then in that moment is like, oh, we're about to be shot by a cannon. I bet if I get mortally wounded, it will really, really make Surumi feel bad about all that. Or not Surumi, Tsukishima feel bad about this.
It's like literally this whole thing of just like, he exposed his own lie to build onto another lie to make his loyalty that much stronger. Like that's how crazy this guy is. And the manga never really fully acknowledges his bits, other than the moments where he looks into the eyes of his other soldiers, and you just have to intuit that that's what the intention was, right? It's just there's always these cool like one panel moments where it's just you just see all the soldiers looking at Surumi dead in the eyes, and like there's like that psychic connection of like this was all a plot. This is all a plan. Like
it's so funny because like oh, I want to say a little more than I can that would require getting
Yeah.
to the end, so I won't say that part. But it's so funny because you're like, wow, Tsurumi's so good at this, but also Tsurumi really is acquiring the loyalties of the most broken people
Yeah.
in the entire army. But also, in doing that, he's kind of creating this faction that can never succeed because
Hmm.
everyone, like, he uses the people he's already lied to and recruited in these like fake plots, like the one he
Yeah.
did with Koito. So like at some level, Tsukishima and Ogata have to know that like this is Tsurumi's MO. Like this is the shit he sets up on the regular.
Yeah.
So at some level they must know like I am being played, but like I don't care or I don't want to
Well, it's like,
acknowledge it.
because even if they realize like he has all these plans, the future that he's making purely benefits them, right? Or at least the future he says he's making. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter like how many people they have to sacrifice. It's going to be less people than was sacrificed in the war that they were fighting for, and they would gain more than the war they were fighting for in the first place, right? So it's just this thing of like, yes, there are necessary sacrifices, and even if they die and don't get to live in that future, at least someone else will be able to live in that future, right? And I think Tsurumi has all these men, and even himself to an extent, because we don't really fully know why he's doing what he's doing, right? And we don't know if it's just like he wants to be a grand leader or if he truly does want to make a good future. But it's just like, I don't think any of these people expect to be living in the future they're fighting for, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of awesome, right?
Yeah, it's such a good the 7th division is such a perfect interesting faction to serve as like main antagonists of this like very well researched historical setting, because it's like historically aggrieved 20 like early 20 something men with no future, like that's who you go to for your revolutions, that's who you radicalize, like that's just radicalization 101, no matter in what direction you're trying to politically radicalize someone. And the idea of being like, wow, we really gained nothing even though we fought harder than anyone and lost more than anyone. And like it's so Metal Gear. Which is really cool. But yeah, going back to Ogata a little bit, I love everything about Ogata, and I love that his thing is he's just like, even Tsurumi is like, okay, no, your brother is a possible asset right now. Do not go ahead and assassinate him. And Ogata just does anyway because his brother is like having this moment of like, no, I really want to connect with you. No one's actually like beyond redemption or that evil, but the way he phrases it, Ogata's just like, no one like you should be allowed to exist. You're a mistake. And Ogata's just like, okay, I'm going to kill him now. And I love the way that Ogata's like that weighs on him, and he's also like, he keeps saying like everyone is like me, and I mentioned this on some recent stream where it's like I really need to like get a citation for this, but everyone wants, like, given the choice to some historical dude was like, given the choice to fuck an adult woman or a heron like the bird, every man really would pick the heron. And everyone went, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, I'm so brave, everyone feels the way I do, everyone wants to fuck a heron. And I love that in media where like Ogata's like, no one actually feels guilt when they do wrong or kill, like, and he's trying, like, on one hand he's like, no, I'm not fucked up, everyone is lying and everyone is playing this game and it pisses me off, everyone is actually like me. So the fact that Asir was like, I refuse to kill people, he's like, what is your fucking problem? And she becomes this like ideal, like the ideal person to corrupt to prove his own worldview correct, because he's like, if I can get a Sirpa to kill someone, then like I win, even if that person is me, because it means everyone is like me and I'm not a monster and I do deserve to exist. It's like, this is so interesting.
It's so good. And like, I love how Koito is the foil to Ogata, because it's just like, this is the golden boy, right, kind of deal. Obviously he kills people, but it's this thing of like both like Koito and Ogata both lost their older brothers, and we're in this thing of like, oh yeah, like our father will never love us as much as they loved the older sibling. But it's like Ogata, it was kind of true, but for Koito, it was like, no, my father loves me dearly, and then does the Bohemian Rhapsody pose with the bicycle. You know,
and he's even like in the moment where like their character is ultimately tested.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no, for real, Dad, forget you ever had me. Like, I should die. This isn't worth the deaths.
Yeah.
This isn't worth your loss of reputation, which is like sad. But even then, his dad is just like, holy shit, my son is so cool. And like, you get the impression that his dad did think that even before Koito did that.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, it's funny. I actually think Koito is one of the best characters in Golden Kamuy. I'm surprised how little of what I remember him doing is in the last third. Like, I was like, wow, that still hasn't happened yet, huh?
Like,
but
I really enjoy him. I literally just all of 7th Division is amazing. Like the whole Samurai Guys faction was barely in this like 100 chapters. Like they obviously had like the poison scene and everything, but it's just like for the most part, it was like 7th Division and Sugimoto just kind of going crazy, which is fair because the first 100 chapters didn't really have too much 7th Division. So it's just like, you know, I just, oh God, I just fucking love it. So I think now we can go through like the chapters. We already talked about Animal Fucker. We know it's an Animal Fucker. Come on, guys. Like we already talked about it. But next is the Lightning and Ojin arc. And talk about like fucking such a like interesting thing. It set up the new like character in the fucking Samurai Guys like faction. That,
yeah,
like,
I really like him.
He's just such a guy. He's just like the most normal guy I think out of all
I
of
love
them.
how normal he is.
Yeah,
it's funny.
It's so funny, and it's just like I don't know why he's here. He's just still alive after all of his guys died during that like one arc, and it's just like, well, I guess he's a part of us now.
He's like like he and Ogata are like the poster child in my mind for being like, my favorite thing about Golden Kamuy is you never know how relevant or important someone is going to be based on their initial appearance.
Yeah.
Like everyone is given the same weight, and like you know, during the arc where Ogata comes back and he's hunting Tanigaki and like the other guy appears and you're like, who is this? And then he dies on the next page and you're like, that's why I don't remember him.
Yeah.
But like you have no idea until you flip the page. How are you showing off?
I was gonna try to show off that's showing off my other this monitor. There we go.
Yeah,
okay.
So
Joker.
When the Golden Kamuy live action movie came out, they drew a bunch of characters as famous film characters. So they drew
Ogata as the Joker. Like it's just like fucking the Lightning and Ojin stuff. It was just like Lightning and Ojin were like interesting characters, right? Like it was like they were out of all of the like the one-off like tattooed prisoner stuff, they were like interesting because at least they made like cool fight scenes and cool situations, right? Unlike Animal Fucker, who just fucks animals. But
I like how I like how their arc ends more than anything, where they've got this baby, and even I love that like even Surumi is like, wow, this, you know, given his parentage in another universe, this baby would probably be like a, you know, like a folk hero or some shit. Let's find a place to give the baby away, and he gives it to Hoochie. So I also just linked this because I was reminded of it.
Official Ogata body pillow.
Noda drew body pillows of all of the main characters, and the Ogata one where he looks like a fucking corpse is so fun. I love Ogata's refusal to engage with the little like fun shit that all like there's that shot of all of them jumping at the edge of the sea, even some of the more serious characters, and Ogata's like no, and he's like looking out for enemies following them. I love that he refuses to say Hina Hina or
he says it.
Tap.
He says it once, but
he says it because he's trying to make Asirpa trust him.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like it's just so fucking just God, dude. Brrr, Dragon Quest music. But yeah, like the Lightning and Ojin arc, it was just very like, oh, this is a fight, and here's like a new person in that thing. Like I don't know. It really set up like Ogata, I guess, and everything, where it's just like, oh, like this baby was gonna be fucked up as shit because of their parents and everything, and just like the whole like, I forget how they tie up the end of the arc because obviously it was the first thing I read, really. So it was like I was like, fuck, ugh. Well, like they said something very good about the baby, where it's just like you said, where it's just like, oh, this baby's parentage, this baby was gonna be a fucking monster. But it's just like, is it our parents that make us a monster, or are we just born that way, or some shit?
It's
right?
Sarumi. It's Sarumi, I think, and he's saying it in like more of a this kid probably would have been cool. We don't really have the time to raise a baby, and I don't know anyone, so let's give the baby to some Ainu because that's what people do.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much that arc. Next is the we already covered that. The Blind Bandits. The Blind Bandits.
I love them. I think they're so
fucking
cool.
sick. It literally like top tier. At the end of this, we should make a tier list of all the fucking tattooed prisoners.
Yeah.
And which ones were like the most fun. This is one of the best ones because like just like a whole bunch of blind. It's just like the like dramatic, like the horror of the situation of like Asirpa like hearing like the clicking, right? And then being like, oh, there's blind bandits around that click to use echolocation. Then Asirpa just going like, oh fuck. And so it's the situation where it's just like, I love this whole thing is just like, I love Ogata because Ogata just makes every situation just so much better. Because like he has his gun because he's a paranoid asshole, and so he just has his gun in the dark, but he can't see these blind bandits. But as soon as any light shows up, they're dead, right? And so it's this equal amount of thing where it's just like they're trying to hide from them while they're not making sure that no light happens, so Ogata doesn't kill all their asses. It's just just nice.
The other fun thing about Golden Kamuy is how battles swing so rapidly based on like a singular thing. I really love that. So, yeah, no, people talking about wasn't expecting the Hot Springs naked guys looking at the camera to be a thing that was happening in the store. Like I thought it would just be a promo spread. Yeah, no, we are entering the Golden Kamuy extreme gay era. Where you get the bit where like they eat otter and start sumo wrestling, and they're like, let's not talk about this.
It looks like just porn.
Yeah, because it's basically porn. It's so funny.
Yeah,
I legit can't believe how much dick they get away with showing.
Yeah,
where it'll be like there's a couple panels where it's just like fully you can see the entire shaded dick hanging off. And
it did not get published in Shonen Jump. Okay. So I do have to make this distinction. Chainsaw Man was published in Shonen Jump, and Golden Kamuy wasn't. So what Golden Kamuy is Shonen Jump's signature series. Now the signature series is for seinen, right? Which you'll find like Hell's Paradise and other stuff like it. You can tell if it's a part of the signature series by the spine, right? Where if it's like Chainsaw Man, for example, it will have like the signature like yellow SJ for Shonen Jump, while the signature series will just have a plain white S on the spine, and that's how you tell the difference. Thumbs up. While it was on the Shonen Jump website, it was age restricted, and so you had to like make an account and have your age confirmed before you could read it. But yeah. Aloha knows the deep lore. Manga, dude.
There's this when we're playing stuff like Game Duel with Will or just talking about video games, because Will really has his finger. You also do, but Will really has his finger on the pulse of games. So we have this joke where it's just like, it feels like walking up to a tavern keeper in an Elder Scrolls game and going rumors. And so anytime there's a game, Will be like, oh, this thing you've never heard of, I remember this. And we just go rumors. And then he just tells us some stuff. I feel like you're that for manga, where I can hold up like any manga and be like, rumors, and tell me about this.
Trying to find like a good example of the spine, because like let me see.
Would Will like Golden Kamuy? He'd like it fine. Back when we used to read manga together, like off stream, obviously, because it's illegal, we would Savvy Oz, like Oz and I had already read it, and Savvy Oz, Will and I started like doing a voiced read through just for fun, which like we used to do. Like Chula Aram, Will and I did that for Pokemon manga a million years ago, and we stopped because like the thing that always happens where we started it with like me, Will, and Oz, and then Savvy hopped on, and then like it's like, oh,
Oh,
now
yeah,
there's
there
too
we
many people, and then suddenly like one person was never available, and we just never did it a second time.
Yeah. So, just for future reference, because obviously I'll talk about this a lot in like all the manga book club. This is the normal Shonen Jump spine. Like obviously this is Bleach, so it's just like this SJ and stuff. This is the signature series, right? So obviously Pluto has this, and then Golden Kamuy has this. It just says Sig, right? And so this is how you tell it's for like older audiences rather than the normal Shonen Jump, right?
Nickelodeon versus Teen Nick.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like, even though the distinction is becoming blurrier and blurrier as time goes on. But yeah, there you go. The more you know, chat.
Yeah. God, I love Ogata so much.
Yeah, it's literally just like, oh man, dude, Ogata's just amazing. It's just the blind bandits. It was just like, just cool fight scenes, and just like so much so that they bring the blind bandit guy back for more fucking fight scenes of the same nature.
I actually I didn't realize he died as quick as he did. I thought he stuck around for like another 50 chapters, to be honest. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, it's a cool
They
guy.
just used him to show off the new like seventh division guys, who I fucking love actually.
They're really
The,
cool.
he-
I love those
the
too.
Ainu guy is probably what I consider the hottest character in Golden Kamuy.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a valid pick.
he's great, and also just like the guy with like fucking 20 revolvers. I'm like, that's just great. But yeah, so like obviously the blind bandit arc's fucking amazing, and then we get to the real sauce, the fucking Abarashi prison arc. Oh
Yeah.
god.
There's a little before that. There's that like following there's that arc of like they get separated and Shiraishi gets like
Mm-hmm.
ripped apart from their group.
Yeah.
And I think this was this reading session. So obviously Kiraranke is the greater character.
Yeah.
But I love that it kind of, do you remember in Pokemon manga how we were making fun of how in the Gold Silver Crystal arc they're like, who could the ice themed Mask of Ice be?
Yeah.
Surely
Yeah.
not the reclusive evil ice themed gym leader. And you're like, are you trying to make this a twist? And like after a little while, they like clearly the editor just talked to the writer and was like, it's obviously him. You need to like add a misdirect if you're gonna bother. And they just have characters go, I can't see it being him. And it's like, that's not a misdirect. That just means the characters are stupid.
Yeah.
And I feel like Noda kind of realized, he was like, oh, I haven't actually given them a reason to trust Kiraranke at all. So he's like, let's do this thing where it's like, who's the traitor, Inkarmat or Kiraranke? And the answer is just both. And because like, and you get to see Kiraranke like help them a couple times, like they're like in that canoe getting shot at, and they like flip and he like saves Inkarmat, and it's like, oh, that would have been the perfect opportunity for him to kill her if he really was trying to blah blah blah. So like finally they give you a reason to think it's not Kiraranke, but like it is just obviously Kiraranke.
Yeah, it's like I think the best like part about that entire arc is when it was like, yeah, it's Kiraranke, but he's working with Ogata for some reason, and he snipes the guy, and I think that's the most surprising part about that entire arc. It's just like, oh, he threw a hand signal and Ogata shot like Will.
I also love they reveal Ogata shooting before they reveal Kiraranke was
doing the hand signal.
signal. So you're like, oh, fucking Ogata, this is so cool. And then it's like, and he did it because Kiraranke told him to. And you're like, okay, all right, if they're working together, that's more interesting than just obviously. Fucking Katakura finally shows up.
Yeah.
I love the prison warden.
He's so one of my fucking great. Characters. I love him. I always love characters that have like supernatural like good luck or bad luck, not Danganronpa, right?
Yeah.
You know? Because it's just a funny quirk that just makes it. I especially love it when it's just like a guy who has horribly bad luck that turns good luck for him only. Is like great, because like there's a character like that in Kekai Sensen as well, and it's just
that's the other one I think of. I love this case is unsolvable. Him just like fucking around and being like, I'm a detective now.
I'm a detective now is so fucking good.
There's this incredible the Golden Kamuy fan community's like meme game is really on point, and
Hmm.
there's this great GIF set of a bunch of like silly ways to go bowling, and people have labeled them as characters, and the best one, I'll find it after our last session. The
Hmm.
best one is Katakura and Kiravus, who just get paired up for like they're just like normal guy and failure guy, and they're just like in the periphery of the story for the rest of it, and I fucking love them because like they really have no reason to be around.
Yeah.
And um they're kind of like idiots who keep failing their way up, and I love that kind of character like Buggy in One Piece.
Yeah.
And there's this bowling gif of like both of them together like in two separate bowling lanes, and they do this elaborate like flip and twirl simultaneously, and then they
Yeah.
like they crisscross their bowling balls into each other's lanes, and both of them immediately gutter ball and it's labeled as them, and I'm like, that's perfect, I love these two.
Yeah, like Buggeronke. Yeah, like it's just, oh god, it's just so fun because like literally it's just like they dig up into his quarters and he's like, I'm a smart man, you see. I know when I'm about to lose, so I'm gonna just team up with you guys. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I like obviously throughout the entire series, I just love how tenacious all the fights are, right? And just like how everything always goes wrong. Because it's like Sugimoto's holding like the fake Wilk hostage, and then instantly he gets shot, and he's like, "Fuck, fuck, fuck, fuck! What do I do?"
So funny. I really love that like you get
Yeah.
this arc that I think was at the end of the last reading of like, is Shiraishi gonna betray them or whatever?
Yeah.
And he's like scared of Sugimoto, and Sugimoto's like the only one who goes who
Yeah.
like goes to bat for him. And then you get this moment of Sugimoto being like, you have to look after a Sirpa. And like of all the characters, Shiraishi is just like, I guess I'm ride or die protecting this like 11-year-old girl now, from all these people who are frankly way above my
Yeah.
pay grade.
Yeah, dude, someone's saying I love how an entire chapter of an elaborate heist planning, and then it immediately random guards spot him immediately and ending the plan. Yeah, that's the most D&D thing to ever happen in Golden Kamuy. Is just like people spending 5 hours planning something, and then instantly, as soon as they
Party
go into
split.
it, as soon as they go into it, it instantly fails, and the whole planning process was like kind of like worthless. So like,
I want to use this as a good example of like, I think Golden Kamuy does that amazingly because obviously the stakes are huge with
Yeah.
Abashiri, and it's been built up for like
yeah.
a huge amount. Like, also you can see I was like, well, obviously the end act 1 is Abashiri
Yeah.
and the party split, and I was like, I really wanted that to be the first book club ending session, but it's like
Yeah.
chapter 142, and I'm like, that's too much. That's a lot to
Yeah.
have for a single session. And then also the end act 2 is chapter 200, pretty
Yeah.
much. It's and I was like, well, then that's too short for the second session, so we'll just deal
Yeah.
with it, I guess. So I think I want to compare the exactly what you were just talking about with the like, oh, is that like wasted time setting up and planning? I want to compare that to a similar thing in Hunter x Hunter, which I think is a bad execution of that, where this I think is a good execution.
Oh,
and I
yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah.
know why. So in this, first of all, their plan is really cool, and
Yeah.
also integrates like Ainu culture
yeah.
again, which or yeah, no, they're still with Ainu while they're
Yeah, because they
Hokkaido.
were selling, they were like trading the fish to the guards in order to like.
I was trying to remember which group it was because once they get to
Yeah.
Kartufo, however you say the island north of Hokkaido.
Yeah.
Karatufo, I should really know this. But once they get there, there's like a bunch of different native factions that they swap between, which is also really cool. But
Yeah.
they Karafudo, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, not to derail myself too much, I love how not only are they like, here's the differences, but also similarities between these native groups. I also love how they go out of their way to be like, hey, not all Ainu are one culture.
Yeah.
Like even within this one island, like, oh, deer are like not even considered Kamui to Kirpa's people because
like
they're so common.
For this one, owls are more sacred than bears, for example,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's great.
And like deer are a big deal to Kirawus's people because they're like they're
Mhm.
rare. They don't show up there very much. Like that's really cool and accurate, especially with the ongoing plan of like Wilk being like, I think they could basically I always forget the name of it. I'll look it up in a second. There was a Native American confederation, I believe, around the southern Great Lakes in the US before, you know, Manifest Destiny trampled all of them and the white people took over. And I like that Wilk's plan is basically that, where it was like a bunch of tribes went together and were like, look, we've all got our differences, but like we need to create this widespread government or a bunch of shit's gonna go really far south very quickly. Anyway, I'm getting way off track. So in Golden Kamui, you've got this like, here we're using this really cool Ainu setup to dig a tunnel which uses like our knowledge of the Ainu, and also we showed you all this like salmon river shit. Now that all mattered. That's all plot important. Kiriranke's abilities are finally critical. And it's like, you remember him being a tunnel guy and an explosive guy, and it's like, that's so smart. The immediate twist with Katakura being on their side, then the double twist of him not being on their side, and samurai guy whose name I can never say, him like planning to get a Sirpa away from all the other people and betraying them, and Katakura being working for the Iroquois Confederacy, thank you, working for him specifically. It's like, that's really cool. So every beat, every switch, everything that's happening is like another piece of new information showing off new characters and raising the stakes in an interesting way. So it's like, Inkarmat betrayed us, and it's like, why would she do that? And that's interesting. It tells you about her character. You get her connection, her emotional connection to Wilk, and it's got this like direct comparison to Asirpa and Sugimoto, which I think is double interesting, because initially Asirpa clearly sees Inkarmat as, she's like, I don't believe in this superstition, but also you're an adult woman who's pretty attractive and you're Sugimoto's age. I don't like you together, because Asirpa has some level of puppy crush on Sugimoto a little bit, and whether she's conscious of it or not. And I like that Inkarmat has this moment with Asirpa, and she's like, hey, here's my actual relationship with your father, and he fucking forgot me.
And it's basically the same thing she is to Sugimoto, kind of, right?
Yeah, like, and like, that's like even scarier to Asirpa than her previous, like, Inkarmat's not a rival, she's like a bad ending that I could get, basically. And then later, before, like, Inkarmat never knows this, but before Wilk dies, he sees and recognizes her and did not forget her, which is really cool. But yeah, then like, everything that goes wrong is a fun new twist. So Higashikata, however you say his name, he's got this rivalry with the Warden.
Higashikata,
like, they have this fight together, and like, obviously he wins, because like,
why would he ever lose?
Why would he lose? Hijikata. The fake Wilk is fun and scary. I love the way the series reflects innocence through the eyes, and it makes like the scary black pupils. They use that with Asirpa versus everyone else, and like looking into people's eyes and telling if they're a good person or not. It's like very important and very recurring. And there's a great one. There's a great one where Asirpa's just like, that's not my dad, immediately, and he just starts screaming. Like, it's such a scary alarm and a good twist. And you pretty much, I think the only word we've seen No Face say is Asirpa in one panel. So the idea that he can't really talk anymore, that could be a twist. They even go out of their way to be like, no one talked to that guy. He just tattooed us in silence. So like, maybe that is him. And it's like, no, that's a fake one. So then when you get to Wilk and he's actually talking, it's like kind of a relief. That's really cool. Surumi, knowing they think that he's going to invade, so they set up the fake torches and then blast in with the boats, is so fucking cool.
Dude, it's just like, it's like one of the best arcs in the manga. It's just so like everything was building up to this moment, and then it's just like from this point onwards, it's like Golden Kamuy is really just fucking amazing. Like,
yeah, it never like Abashiri keeps it reminds me of like the climax of Water 7, which is like the best part of One Piece, where it's like, oh, all the shit is hitting the fan, and there are natural dangers escalating stuff, and there's like a timer on this, like someone's gonna escape the island. You like, what are you gonna do? Stakes are so high, and it's like so exciting because every time something good is gonna happen, a new wrench gets thrown in it, and it's always an interesting
not
wrench.
even like one wrench, two wrenches. Because it's just that like all the time, it's just like you think as soon as it gets worse, you're like, oh fuck, and then it gets even fucking rougher. Because it's just like, well, get shot and you're like, oh fuck, and then Sugimoto gets domed and you're like, what the fuck?
Because like of all manga, I could believe that Sugimoto would die.
Yeah, like I would not be surprised if Sugimoto died halfway through the manga. It's just like, it's that intense, right? And imagine reading this shit weekly. Imagine reading this shit weekly and then being like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah. I remember I remember the fucking when Bo and I were reading serially at the end, we had like an ongoing betting pool, like who was gonna live, and both of us were like, the only character we're pretty sure is gonna make it to the end is a Sirpa.
Yeah.
Everyone else could die. Shiraishi could die.
Because like obviously I don't know anything about this manga at the end, at least, right? Because I didn't finish it. But like I wouldn't be surprised if everyone dies but a Sherpa, and then it's just like a Sherpa's just alive in this. This whole adventure might as well just be some crazy fever dream.
Like that could happen, right?
Yeah.
And I will say, the end game of Golden Kamuy is just another larger Abashiri style arc, of course, like, which is so fun.
Yeah, which has consequences when he just goes nuts from brain damage later. Yeah, I like.
Oh yeah, I didn't really. Yeah, that's a good excuse for that. I didn't really clock that.
Like I just like how one, obviously brain damage is not fatal, right? Which is fair, true. Right, like it gave the one reason for that one doctor to exist is to keep.
There's one other reason actually, but yes, that is the other thing she does, like, very briefly.
And like I don't know, I just like how in the second part of reading, they have not only like just like increased like the consequences of like one, injuries, but two, like express the PTSD of these soldiers a lot stronger. Right, like, cause like you see a lot of flashbacks of Sugimoto and everything like that, and then even obviously we already discussed Ogata, like especially like later on in this like reading where it's just like he starts seeing his brother, like the ghost of his brother haunting him and stuff.
It's so good, I love it.
It's just like I just depictions of PTSD in like media is so like, it's an awful thing, but it's so cool to see in media if it's like executed well.
Thing to it's a great, like, there's a lot of artistic room to visualize it. Like, this is such a good medium for it too. I really love I do want to get back to the Hunter x Hunter thing. I keep getting distracted.
Sorry.
Cool shit. No, you're good. There's so much cool. I was distracting myself more than anything. There's so much cool shit to talk about in this middle era of Golden Kamuy. I love how when Sugimoto goes berserk, the emotional reason he's going berserk, and like I really love like the Russian boxer guy who's just like, I am here and like, I don't really want to be, I don't give a shit about the gold, I'm just like a little guy. Who they fight in the wall battle, I don't remember what it's called, it's some Russian term. I love that he's like, why, I can tell you're hurting because I communicate through punches, basically, which fair enough. And Sugimoto is just like, everyone I've ever tried to protect, I've failed. I failed every single time. A Sirpa got taken from me. Taraji died in my arms. I couldn't protect Ume. I haven't gotten her eye surgery. And it's just like, oh yeah, Sugimoto has kind of never had a long-term win in the last like 6 years of his life. And
he's the only man he can protect himself.
Yeah, he's like, I'm immortal. It's funny because like, obviously he's not literally immortal. He just has like, he just heals really quickly and is like lucky when it comes to injuries. But the idea that he never takes permanent damage, but everyone else around him is so liable to die, and he's unable to use that power, like he can't lend that power. It's like, it's really interesting in its frustration.
Yeah.
I'll get this idea out before I forget about it. So basically, every piece of here's our setup and here's our escape plan for getting in and out of Abashiri is really interesting and realistic, and it's a great use of Kiraranke's abilities and Shiraishi's abilities and their setup, blah 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 blah. And then once all the shit starts hitting the fan, every new twist is a new cool thing, is a new cool fight, is a fun like who can be trusted, whatever. And there's so many factions split up and running around in interesting ways.
Yeah.
Hunter x Hunter does something at the end of the what's the arc everywhere? I always forget it.
Chimera Ant.
Yeah, I was gonna like Hunter Ant, that's wrong. Chimera Ant arc, which in the way that people who like One Piece, if they're like, oh, Marineford is the best arc, that's just the one I can just tell, like it's like a red flag for being like, okay, I don't gel with your opinions on anything. Like, you have different priorities consuming media than me. If people are like, I love Hunter x Hunter, York New City is amazing, I'm like, okay, I understand you.
Yeah.
But if they're like, I love Hunter x Hunter, I love Chimera Ant, I'm like, you're a weirdo. Because Chimera Ant starts really good, and for those people who haven't read it, there are these ants that consume the abilities of any other creature they eat, and they start eating humans, which gives them intelligence and independent personalities. And then they get scarier and scarier and scarier. So they're like evil furries with different animal powers, basically. And they cannot defeat the main Chimera Ant King, or really any of his three guys. They're like, our goal is to invade this palace, fight the main three guys and distract them, so that we can basically airdrop our strongest guy, who is not a main character, in, and he can fight the king. And the plan, they spend like 2 or 3 episodes going over the plan, and it fails instantly. And then it's like, all right, we got to split up. And it's like, here's one of the big fights against like the least interesting of the 3 main guards, and 2 characters fighting him who don't matter at all, and you don't care. And it's like, it literally, I think there's like a 12-minute section of episode that is 2 minutes or 2 seconds of mental
I love
time.
One thing I do love is that there is a compilation of the Chimera Ant raid in real time.
That sounds very funny.
And it's like 6 minutes long or whatever, and you get to see like the compilation of everything going on in real time. And it's like, it's amazing, actually. Fucking God. But yeah.
And like, the idea of it's great, and I like that stuff goes wrong. Like, they basically teleport into a spot and get spotted instantly, which kind of ruins the plan. But there's no wrenches that make stuff more interesting or tell you more about a character. It's just like, you know how we were talking about like, it's the most D&D thing ever? The way I like to describe it is, the Chimera Ant raid is like a DM put a lot of work into something and has like a table of really poor player etiquette players, where like Gone's player is like, I literally only care about getting revenge on the femboy cat character, and I will not engage with anything else. And it's like, well, there's a reason that character can't fight you right now. It's just like, okay, I sit for hours in front of them, and it's like, you're really not going to do anything else? No. Okay. And then like, that frankly has nothing to do with the raid. Like, the main characters never fight the guy, they never even distract the guy. The main antagonist leaves of his own accord, unrelated. Like, it's like if Nopaburo got up and left the prison in the middle of the arc due to nobody's influence, and it was just like, well, we need to get him out of the prison. And then Hijikata ran into him outside of the prison, and like, he hadn't been involved for the last 60 chapters. It's like a very weird, and like, there are cool individual fights. Like, there's some shit going on in the basement between like an octopus guy and someone else, but like, they don't matter, and it doesn't advance the plan. And if you killed both of those characters and deleted them from the story, nothing would change.
Yeah.
Whereas like, everything in Golden Kamuy kind of builds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I was just brushing my cat while you did that. But yeah, like it's just God, dude. I love the prison arc so much. And next is just on the wiki it says the Journey to Karafudo arc, which is like
That's most of the rest of it.
yeah,
right?
like well, there's like smaller arcs, right? Because it's like this is just like everyone like the groups teaming up basically, right? And this is like where the Russian steam bath is, right? Where it's just like they go like do the Stenka wall and like the fights and stuff,
Yeah.
right? And so it's just like, which is like just a fun thing. We get to see like the Sugimoto like go communism mode. With, like,
Yeah,
a
I
hammer and
like
sickle.
that. Yeah, he does take the hammer and sickle. I like seeing Sugimoto without a Sirpa's morality holding him back.
Yeah.
Like, I love that bit where it's like, give this girl back her dog, and at first they're like, no, we'll play along. We don't want to cause any issues. And then like the guy's like, I'll bet more money on you. And Sugimoto's just like, fuck this guy, I'm gonna kill him. And he's like, okay, take your fucking dog, ah! And that's really funny.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, it's this thing of like I love Communist Studio. It's so interesting because like I don't know, I like time periods because this is before like World War II, right? This is before like
Yes, it's
yeah,
like
like
1911 or something, and
Was
World
like-
War II is
was like-
1919.
yeah, and it's before the Cold War and everything too. So it's like, was the communism Russia even a thing yet? Or like
No, I
yeah,
believe.
and
No.
it's so funny that it's like the hammer and sickle, which is the future of like Russia, right? And then it's just like, but obviously like I don't know, obviously I'm reading too much into it because it's probably just haha funny hammer and sickle, right? But it's just this thing of like, it's funny that when he loses control he becomes the thing that he fought in the war. Which
Yeah, I guess.
you know, like which is not the intention at all, but it's yeah, World War One was June 1914 before World War One. Yeah. And so like
We close.
but yeah, it's pretty much just like the Stenka wall and then fighting the guy and they get naked in the hot, you know, it's gay. We get it. There's a bunch
Very
of men, they're
gay.
beefy, they're like, you know, some reason we all know why the mangaka draws fucking Tanagaki's tits like juicier than everyone else's, like
You know how God, there's that in the fucking. No, I'll save that for later.
yeah.
So you know how last time you were like, I love how they need to keep finding new ways to use bears. I
Yeah.
love that they're like new area, new animals unlocked,
But
like a
it's
badger
stronger
and,
than a bear, and you're like, what the fuck?
and I love the next time they do a prison break, it's like, what fucking animal is that? Siberian tiger.
It's like you think it's a bear for a split second, and it's like, no, it's not a bear. It's literally them just trying to do the same bit, but being like, fuck, dude, we can't use bears again. We've done 3 bears in a row. And it's like, don't worry, there's
Like,
something stronger than a bear. A Wolverine, how about it? And it's
I
like,
think it totally works
It's
because every
great.
time they're like, anyway, here's the local customs and how they view this animal, and like, fucking, what's her name? The really cool Russian lady, Sophia.
Sophia, yeah.
I love her.
Oh, I
you
love
know-
her.
Okay, you know how in One Piece you get the big Ace death arc, and then Sabo is like, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, tonight the part of Ace will be played by Sabo. I feel like, and she like Sabo's just better than Ace, and is actually kind of in the story. I feel like Sophia is that for Kiriranke,
Yeah.
where and like Sophia fucking rocks.
Yeah.
She's so cool.
I love that she isn't her old like conventionally attractive self, but is actually aged in a way that like feels realistic. Whereas like
Yeah, 'cause she's
Kiriaki
a
also
fucking-
aged, but he's still just like the same beautiful man. But they were not afraid to just like, no, Sophia's like old in a realistic way, but it's awesome and it's dope. And I love how Kiriaki was like, damn.
Yeah. I mean, I also love how they do such a good job like showing that she's
Yeah.
they kind of show that she's like the emotional core of the
Yeah.
revolutionary trio of Wilt, Kiriranke, and her, where like she's the one crying over Sarumi's dead child who she might have killed.
Yeah.
She's the one who carries that. She's the one who reacts to Wilk's death, and
Yeah.
like I like that it's like, yeah, she's a human being with significant emotions about people she really cares about, but then also it's like, don't get it twisted though. She's just as like bullshit powerful as all the other characters, and it's just everyone's just like, "Boss, how do we get past this tiger?" And she's like, "Let me at it," and starts riding the tiger by putting a
strangling it
chain.
with the chain. Yeah.
And she's like, "We can't kill it because it's a god. Like you'll get bad luck in this native thing." And it's like,
So
this is so
just
fucking
full,
cool.
just full ass booby on screen. Like God. But yeah, and so like they beat each other up. And then there's the Yorchiro, the manslayer arc, which is just like such a flashpan thing where it's just like I read that arc and I was like, okay. I was like, it's cool.
Which guy is that?
That's the guy that the like old guy with the sword that Hijikata like chases down.
Yeah,
right?
whatever. That one
Yeah.
feels like it would have been much cooler if I was a little more familiar with like the Shisengumi history.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it's like it's the thing of like it's really just like a quick update on what the fuck Hijikata's doing. Right?
Yeah, he's barely in this stretch of 100. Like he's not in the Carfudo shit at all.
Yeah,
like doing other stuff.
It's just like, and they were just like, yeah, it's just like when he kills people, they turn into the Matrix. I think the presentation of that, of like an old man murderer just kind of like remembering his old like shit, and so he's like so detached from like in senile that he still views things as what it was when he was younger, right? Is like dope presentation.
I liked that. Yeah. That's like, you know how you were talking a couple things ago about like how it's often bad when a mangaka knows they're gonna get an anime because they start drawing stuff they want to see animated.
Yeah.
I feel like Noda's really good at being like, I have a visual that I need to convey how this would be if it were animated, and like I as a reader, I'm like, I know exactly what you're going for.
Yeah.
And I don't think he draws it because he's like, this will look cool in the anime. Maybe he knows that the anime has negative budget.
Yeah, it's like because like it's more for like just good presentation rather than like, oh, this will look good in the anime, you know. So like I respect it more, but I think it was a cool execution of that idea, even though like obviously it was anachronistic, but obviously they weren't seeing the Matrix. It was just like artistic, which is dope. And that's pretty much all I gotta say about that art, because like it's just like, oh wow, Hijikata has like a fight that lasts 3 seconds again, which isn't as cool as him being chained to another man. That shit's hype. But this is just like old man versus old man violence, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that one's not really about the fight. It's just like,
yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. It's there.
Yeah, Hijikata is literally in a coffin for most of the arc.
I really like that arc
because you have to put him away, or else he'll handle everything.
He's like in Lupin the Third, how they have to find excuses for Goemon to not be around because Goemon can just like cut reality in any way he wants and he's unstoppable. So they always find ways to like put him in a box, and like Hijikata's that shit, which I kind of love. Yeah,
we'll get there in a second. Next is probably the I enjoy this arc, but why the fuck did it need to exist? This is the Karafuda Circus arc.
I liked it.
I like it, but like it adds nothing.
I like it because, first of all, I love how they keep, even though they're in like the fucking most barren, icy wasteland, they keep finding ways to be like, what's an interesting thing you could, like, what's an interesting setting for a conflict? Okay, here is the middle of a frozen over lake for the Poison Guy arc. With the blind guys, how do you make that interesting? Okay, it's a hot spring and then an all dark windows boarded up abandoned black hotel. That's really cool. I like that they're like, here's an encounter at a circus. I love that. It's like my favorite joke in Golden Kamuy. The little unnecessary B plot Tanigaki has with the dancer lady, and they keep drawing his head like a fucking bullet and like uglier. And he's just like, oh, thank you. It fucks me up. It's so funny.
It is what I wish the Foxy arc in One Piece was, right? Because like
that is a good point.
This adds actually nothing. If you remove this circus arc, nothing is lost, because even at the end where Sugimoto was doing it so his name would get out there, they fucked up his name. There was
Well,
no
they
there
fucked
was,
up his name, and Sirpa was like 100 miles north, so it didn't
yeah,
matter. But
yeah, it's like it's this
we,
thing of like, even for his attention, it was just like a fun little thing of like, here's some levity in the situation where it's like, oh, Koido is doing his like acrobat thing, and then it's just like, it's just
that is, for real, I do think the point of this arc is to give Koido something in the middle of the story
yeah,
as focus. It also shows what an absolute piece of shit, petty bitch Koido is when
yeah,
Sugimoto is like being rude, and he's like, I tried to mess up his thing in a way that like would have been fine. Like it might have just made him wobble or something. So Koido's like, I replaced his trick sword with a real sword, so he'll fucking kill himself.
it's such a, and he was just like, and it's like, actually, it was me that fucked your thing up, and he's like, oh. And he's like, what did you do? What did you do?
I love Tsukishima. Tsukishima is like my third or fourth favorite.
He's
like,
great, yeah.
He's such a funny like straight man. I love how earlier we were talking about like everyone's got their like Ogata killed his own brother against Tsurumi's orders.
Yeah.
Nikaido goes out. I love that like his Tsukishima's thing.
Yeah.
And he and Koito have like a really great dynamic as the thing goes on. And like I think that's why that arc exists. So their dynamic like the seeds of it exist for the last third, which I respect, I get it. But I love that Tsukishima, he sees this like the parents who are like, our daughter's missing, and he's like, this objectively doesn't matter. I don't need to care about this. But he's also like, my entire backstory is about like me, this like wavy haired girl who I lost in like a fucked up way, and it like sticks with me. And he's like, I guess their parents are probably going through a similar thing, and he ends up encountering her and is like, this doesn't matter, but then runs over anyway and is like, you need to go talk to your parents, like
at least send a letter, like because it's the thing of like the trauma of leaving someone you love, right, for something else, and then never seeing them again and wishing you could have like a final word with them. It's like, that's like what he's dealing with. And so it's just like, he's like, don't make the same mistake as me. Tell them you're all right. Talk to them. Send one last letter saying something good before they either die or you die and you never get a chance to speak again. Right?
Yeah.
And then fucking later, Svetlana and Gensoku crossed over the continent for some reason, and they ended up having a grand adventure. But that's a story for another time.
I love that. I hope in his current like figure skating hockey manga or whatever it is, I hope like their great grandchild is like a tertiary character or something.
Christian actually read like the first volume of Dogs Red like a week before we started doing this, and he was like, yeah, it's actually pretty great. I'm like, okay.
I mean, yeah, Noda's a good writer.
Yeah. But yeah, so like pretty much that was the Karafuku Circus arc. Was fun. I just loved it. It's just fun times.
I like, you know what else it kind of does a good job setting up indirectly is that at the end when the police are there and they're like, or the Russians are there, and it's like, this guy was a Japanese spy like giving Russian information while he was on tour. And that also the smoking dance captain is just like, what a piece of shit spy.
Yeah,
that's a really good comment.
And Tanigaki looks like,
oh shit.
Oh shit.
But I think that kind of puts in the back of your head like, oh right, it's wartime, there is actually espionage going on, and that indirectly foreshadows Tsurumi's backstory with the stuff going on. So like, the circus arc doesn't do anything directly, but it fits in with the world very nicely.
Yeah. Better than the fucking Foxy arc, but yeah. Yeah, welcome to Golden Kamuy Book Club, where we shit on One Piece and Hunter x Hunter.
Listen, we're all much like the warriors of Golden Kamuy are getting over their PTSD trauma. We are still processing reading all of One Piece.
Next is like, now the wiki, the guy who was writing the descriptions for the arc has given up, and now I do not have descriptions. Next is the border crossing arc, which I believe is the one where it's like there was the cool sniper
battle.
Oh god, dude, I love a good sniper battle in media, bro. It's just so fucking
I'm gonna say this because I didn't clock this at first in like a way that makes me feel stupid. I don't remember his name, the
Yeah.
Russian sniper is not dead and comes back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Vasily.
He's
And
a famous Russian sniper in like real life. He's like the White
oh,
Death.
he's a real
like,
dude?
yeah, he's
Okay.
like the White Death or some shit. I forget. Like I think that's his title, right? He is like a very famous like actual Russian sniper.
Yeah, he comes back and he's a great character. I fucking
Yeah.
love that guy. He's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
The White Death is wasn't he like Norwegian or something?
Fucking. I think.
Killed Russians.
Let me.
I think Vasily's his own guy. He might be based on someone,
Finish.
but I think yeah. Anyway, I love that sniper battle. I
it's a
love
different sniper. Yeah.
yeah. Vasily and Ogata have a couple encounters, and he's like Ogata. Like Sugimoto is also Ogata's rival, but like again, every Ogata battle is so fucking good. And I love that Ogata's like, this sniper must think like me exactly, because I can tell from his shot how good a fucking sniper he is.
So you think of
So
Steve
his
yeah.
So his plan is he's like, I'm gonna set up in a really obvious way and fake tracks so the guy waits me out and he's gonna think that this is bait. But it's actually just me eating snow, so he can't see my breath, and I'm not moving for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then he'll shoot the sky coffin, which is another really cool way to use a local thing. And you're like, oh, that's so smart. And then Ogata's just like, no, I won. But like, obviously he's fucking sick because he was eating snow in the cold for 8 hours.
Is home to a real Russian sniper from World War II. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Because fucking god, dude. I just love that shit so much because it's just every character has like, this is the thing I'm good at, except for Tanigaki, who is just kind of like
He's okay at tracking,
Yeah.
but he's like out of his league because of Sirpa's usually
yeah,
around.
right. But it's like Ogata is just good at shooting. And so it's just every time he is in a sniper spot, it's just the stakes just ramp up 20 times, and it's like, oh my god. Great moment when Kiraki walked out into fire to distract the sniper so Ogata could clip him. Yeah, and how Ogata shot him in the stomach so he wouldn't die, so they'd have to fucking carry him around is such a dirty ass war tactic, you know?
I love how the other sniper is like he and Ogata clock each other's like, this guy's a freak. This guy's a freak ass who doesn't care about his allies, and I can tell. So the other sniper's just like they get led into like bomb traps, and the Russians are like screaming, like, oh my god, so fucking get down here and help. And the sniper's like, no, I have to out snipe my kin. And it's like, I don't know, I love that shit.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just like a great moment for Ogata, and also just like one of the final moments of Kirake just being like insane, right? Because this is when the wanted posters show up, and then it's just like instantly me and Wilk assassinated the emperor. Like that's why the whole reason we fled to Japan and everything. Like, you know, like it was just like such a wild thing of like, yeah, we wanted the gold pretty much to fund like our shit in like Russia, but it's just like apparently Wilk like changed his mind or something, and then it's just, I don't know, it's like I don't think that's fully been revealed yet, but like
it hasn't fully been revealed, but I do like that Kiranke is clearly actually mad because he's like, Wilk sort of diverted from our plans, and like I gave up so much to do all this, and fuck that guy, and you don't get all of that just yet. But I like that there's also clearly, if you're reading between the lines, Kiranke also hates Wilk because clearly Kiranke was like, into Sophia,
and Sophia was into Wilk. Yeah, right. Like it's just such a like, I think I love it about this manga is that they do have those moments where you just kind of have to like intuit, but they do the panels so like well, right?
It's using the visual medium to tell a story,
right?
Without words.
Yeah, it's just like literally just like the panel of silence is enough for you to know, right? It's so fucking beautiful. I love it, right? Look, was originally the original Tanigaki.
Yeah, I also love that every single person, every time in Karafudo that like a Sirpa like does something nice, or like you get this moment of like, oh, here's like a good side of Kiranke, interacting with the Sirpa, it's immediately followed by scary pictures of Kiraranke and Ogata listening to a Sirpa being like, "Yay, I'm learning and remembering," and they're like, "Learn more, little girl."
Yeah, it's
Until you
like,
and like you're never allowed to
yeah,
forget that they're scary, which I really like. And that's the
yeah,
fun thing about Ogata is like no matter how many times you know Ogata's a problem and can't be
yeah,
trusted, you still can't really predict what or when he's gonna do stuff.
yeah. It's so good, and so it's just like, I don't know, the like the deep dive into like what the fuck Kironke and like Wilk were up to, and then like the lead into like, you want to know more about your father, you'll probably learn it from Sophia, right? Like, and it's just
Yeah.
this build up to like this Sophia character, and then literally just be like she was being whipped, and she's like, yeah, fucking big ass boobies on screen, and she's just like, yeah, I'm the coolest character in this show.
She fucking rocks. I
She
love Sophia
rocks.
so much.
Next is I fucking weirdly titled on the wiki, the pet monster arc, and I was like, what the fuck is this about? And this is the whole
Yeah, that's
cocoon
the
shit. Yeah, it's the Ushiyama.
Yeah.
Like, I would not name it after the Ushiyama bit. I would like go like the poisoner arc or whatever the fuck. But you know, it's like, it is what it is.
I liked that guy. I think he's a good
Yeah,
he's a good like mine. He feels like a part 1 Golden Kamui villain
yeah,
who is only dangerous because he's mostly fighting Katakar, whatever the fucking stupid
Hijikata.
bad no, he's not dangerous. Hijikata was gonna win.
Oh
He,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you
Oh,
learn at the
oh,
end,
yeah,
Hijikata knew, he was like, yeah, I knew what the poisons were. I took the exact right amount, so I was gonna be dormant and then come up and kill him. So like,
yeah,
it had,
it was the
he would have been fine on his own, but
the warden.
the warden and Kiribus go after him and are just idiots. So it like, because they're basically low level, I don't know, it's kind of a nice
Yeah,
return to
it's like,
form.
I know the wrinkles of that guy's asshole better than his face. It's like, you know,
And-
you didn't have to check his asshole for poison, right? Huh.
Yeah. It's very funny. I love, I really like that Golden Kamui has this great mixture of people like being pragmatists, but also humans can't beat their own philosophy and their
Yeah.
own internal goals, whether they're logical or not. So like,
Mhm.
this guy's just a very good easy example where he's just like, I could kill whoever I want with poison, but I'm kind of philosophically obsessed by the idea of people who have good or
Yeah.
bad luck, and I can't reconcile that with my fate, because when you see an unbelievable act of God that results in a needless cruelty, like, how can you believe in your own religion
Yeah.
beyond that? Like, what matters anymore? And
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting way for a person to go off the deep end and
Yeah.
manifest that.
Mhm.
Like, that's kind of what the entire series is about, is people going like, practically, I know I need to get the gold, but realistically,
Yeah.
like, and like, there's a really good one. Maybe that's why, maybe I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Maybe that's why Sugimoto is the hero, in that he is one of the only people who manages to flip that at the last minute every time, where like,
Mhm.
the whole time, Sugimoto's thing, like, they always draw him almost like his shadow is a stand, or like they'll draw him like looking scary, like, I'm immortal Sugimoto, thin glowing eye, ready to kill whoever he needs, hat drawn over his eye. But when the chips are down, he usually does do something unexpected and correct. So it's like, Shiraishi, are you really gonna betray us? And he's still like, no, I believe in Shiraishi. And when the whole time he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill Ogata and Kiraranke. That's like all he's thinking. But
Mhm.
then in the moment when he has Ogata there, he's like, no, the idea of a Sirpa becoming a murderer is so like, that would be so devastating to her. And it's the idea of being labeled as a murderer is huge in Ainu culture. That's terrible. You're ruined forever. And he's like, even though not only do I want to kill Ogata more than anything,
Mhm.
and like, here he is, literally all I have to do is nothing and he dies. And he's like, I can't do that. Like, the instant he rushes onto the screen, he's sucking the poison out of Ogata. Like, because he's like, because he values a Sirpa more than he values his own wants.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like in the way that I love it when a hero and a villain of a story both have functionally the same philosophical obstacle, and the victory is that the hero can get over it, Yeah, actually, you know what? I can't say why. I am locking this in. I think this is done on purpose. But the final confrontations of the manga do agree with this reading, where it's like, can you throw away the like pragmatic goal or like the thing you need to be doing in the moment to do something that is just or do
Yeah,
something that will help other people and like you just watch Sarumi over and over again do the most evil shit for like
yeah,
exclusively like I might need you in the future reasons.
yeah. Yeah, next is just the Alco prison break where it just like breaks Sophia out of prison, and it's just like, God, dude, Sophia. I'm excited to see more of Sophia and actually have Shirpa and Sophia like speak, because I just want to know. Because like when Sophia broke out of prison, she just slapped Kirake, and it's like Kirake told Sophia that he did kill Will.
Yeah, honestly,
Like,
props to him for being
yeah.
honest about what happened. He definitely told her.
Yeah, because she just fucking smacked the shit out of him, and I was just like, damn, dude, I'm surprised he even said it. But I guess like he's like, we are revolutionaries, shit happens, and it's like this thing of like, if Wilk was against their cause, right, he would tell Sophia, where it's just like, I had to kill Wilk because he went against her plan.
Yeah, and I love that Sophia's also successful in the way that I was just talking about with Sugimoto,
Yeah.
where she's like, my emotions are running high here. Like, frankly, I'd probably like to kill Kiraranke right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to. And she also clocks a Sirpa instantly. She's like, "Oh my god, you're Wilk's daughter. Like, this is great." Like,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, Kiraranke is more valuable to a Sirpa alive right now, and
Yeah.
I love I don't know, like, Noda's so good at coming up like, I feel like he did an ungodly amount of research from, like, what are all of the cool places I could use as settings? Like, here's a bunch of ice flows, and that will be the Act 2 final battle, like, this
Yeah.
barren white wasteland, like, that's really
It's
good.
just so fucking dope, where it's just like Shirashi nearly falls into the water, but then Sugimoto finally catches him, and it's just like,
Yeah,
it's like,
I've read this, I know who lives and who dies, and seeing, like, the bone crack where it's like, "We luckily we didn't get this one, that means someone will die," and it cracks after
yeah,
Shiraishi turns around to stay with them, and it's like Shiraishi's gonna die, and then Sugimoto defies that fate and saves him. It's like,
yeah. It's like
"Yes!"
finally he's saving someone, you know?
Well, that's true, I didn't even clock that.
Yeah, like, it's so like, but also Shiraishi's the escape king, so
That's true.
but like, and then also this is like the bit where it's like fucking the revolutionaries backstory where they were like in that house for a while. That shit, I remember when I first read it, and then it ended with that guy being Sarumi. I was like, what the fuck?
That chapter's so good.
It's so fucking good. Where it's like they were killing the Russians. The Russians were like, why are you attacking us? We're here for him. And then it's like, what the fuck is going on? And it just ends with like, I'm Sarumi. And it's just like, everything is just like, what? Your mind is blown. Where it's
And
like,
it ends with his, the shot of him walking away with the pitch black eyes.
yeah,
Um,
right? Like, oh. And it's just like, we were talking about it like a little bit in our chat, where it's just like Sarumi and Sugimoto are just tied into so many characters' backstories, right? Just like happenstance.
Yeah, and it's so great because every time Sarumi's in someone's backstory, it's like the worst day of their life. And
Yeah,
he's like, "Don't worry, this thing I definitely didn't manufacture. I'm the hero of your story. You should dedicate your stuff to me." And then Sugimoto's in the background of everyone's backstory, being the guy that saves everyone's life or does like a
yeah,
good like in Tanagaki's backstory, Sugimoto's the one who eats the mochi and identifies his friend and
yeah,
uh like Tanigaki learns the truth about his sister's death and that it
yeah,
wasn't as bad as he thought, and he's like, "That's great." And then I love that they called back to that, and I love that the characters didn't clock it, where they're both eating the mochi again, and Sugimoto's like, "I feel like I've eaten this before," and Tanigaki's like, "Oh, there's no way. Like, this is my natural one. Like, only
yeah,
me and my friend made this." And Sugimoto's like, "I guess I'm wrong." And it's like, oh, they've got all these connections, and they won't
yeah.
know. And
And like, even
in
when Sarumi got
Tsukishima's back
injured, yeah, like,
yeah, in Tsukishima's backstory when Sarumi gets brained, Sugimoto is like, "Here, you can take the barge that might have gotten Taraji to my best friend to the doctor because he's definitely not gonna make it." so I'd rather you try and save your own lives. And like, I love Sugimoto being in the backstory of people's. I think he's in Ogata's at least once too on the hit. Like he shows up a lot.
Yeah, like he like, and it's just like the only way you can tell is just like it's mostly blackface, but there's like a couple scars in the guy's face, and that's just how you tell it's Sugimoto, right? And it's just like, God, dude, it's like, oh,
It's really cool.
They talk about grenades, and then Sugimoto's like running up and throwing the grenades away. You know, it's like it's just he really was a monster in that war and just everywhere, right? Like
it's funny because everyone's like, "Oh, you're immortal Sugimoto. I've heard of you. You're that guy who killed a bunch of people and never took damage." But all the backstories where Sugimoto actually affected people are where he's just being a normal guy next to them, and he might as well have been any other soldier.
Yeah,
and like I really love that hand in hand with the main theme of like, can you ever be a human again after you've become a monster or a murderer? And like the answer is obviously yes, because you're already seeing Sugimoto between battles
yeah.
and killing spree, helping people and having quiet moments with people.
Oh,
But
dude.
it's really like I was saying this to Aloha. I was like, I think overall, because I loved the first time I read Golden
Yeah.
Kamuy. It was my favorite manga until I read Chainsaw Man. And I was like, I think I'm having a worse time overall because I'm noticing, like, it's cool to see the moments where I'm like, oh, this is, now that I'm rereading this means more to me and I like it. But I do think the episodic stuff is not super fun to reread, especially when it's like a miss, like the fucking animal fucker arc, or but like, man, the core of Golden Kamuy, when it hit, like they're really, I haven't really read anything else like this. It's so good.
Yeah, Jella's telling me to put this on screen. So, one thing I hate, by the way, is that a lot of the times when I open an image from Discord now, it turns it into a WebP.
Yeah, Discord fucking drank the Kool-Aid.
My life gets worse and worse with every passing day.
Every time you convert something to WebP, the world gets a little worse.
Yeah, Jella made this. Can you trust someone not in Golden to betray you in Golden Kamuy? Are they Shiraishi? They are Shiraishi. You're good. They're not Shiraishi. They're going to betray you.
It's so funny because like, yeah, I really feel like Asirpa, Sugimoto, and Shiraishi are just the exclusive heroes of like I feel like we just cracked it. I'm so excited. Like the main difference between the good guys and bad guys, and if like the things people would have to do to become a good guy. But like Shiraishi, when it doesn't matter, Shiraishi will betray you immediately. Like he'll be like, yeah, you let me $5. Like Shiraishi will not pay you back for the pocket change. Shiraishi will spend money on some whores in downtown. But like, if it's something that matters, Shiraishi will die.
My favorite characters in manga typically are the coward characters that when the chips are down, right? When everything is balls to the wall, they will actually step up and do something despite them being scared to shit, right? And like Usopp is kind of that character, right? And then like, you know, obviously Shiraishi is fucking amazing. It's just like those kind of characters I feel like are the best, right? They're just so compelling to me, right? And so it's just like Shiraishi is just like, when Shiraishi like was like, okay, I'm gonna go, bye, and then just ran back, right? It was like, damn, man, that's great.
You know what I feel like was part of the impetus, like obviously for him coming back, obviously he's like, well, Sugimoto asked me, but also in that moment, after an entire manga of everyone going, you're useless, Shiraishi, even after we, the viewers, get to see Shiraishi pull like a lot of useful information from off screen, and like Shiraishi knew almost everyone of the convicts. He's like, I might not recognize them by face, but I know most of them, and he's a really useful party member. But everyone's like, you're fucking useless, Shiraishi, and he's just like, whimper, and gets bitten. And in that last moment where he's like, I think I'm gonna go, I think the heat's getting too strong for me, Asirpa's like, thank you so much, Shiraishi. You really helped me out. And that's like the first time anyone's ever been sincere with him. And I think that had an effect on him. And he was like, no, I can't leave. God damn it.
Oh, God. But yeah, like the whole fight on the ice caps and everything was just so fucking like sick. Like because it's just like Tanigaki seeing Kiruanke, and it was just on sight. Stabbed him with his own knife and was just like, "You forgot this, you son of a
Yes,
bitch." Like,
it's so good.
I'm like, dude. I wish the Golden Kamuy anime didn't have a fucking shoestring budget, dude. Like, you know, like
It's such it's such a shame because like the reason I watched Golden Kamuy is because Jay and Oz were into it, and I was like,
yeah,
this looks fun. And I started reading. I was like, this is fucking. Or I started watching the anime. I was like, this is fucking awesome. And I read the manga, and I was like, oh, that anime has no budget.
yeah,
That's
the fucking
such a
3D
shame.
bear, the 3D fire. It was just like, oh man, it's just so fucking just. I love it, man. Like, I don't.
Yeah, when it hits really hard.
Yeah, because like I think like Kiraranke is the first time we've seen like a continuous cast member just eat shit, I think. Right? Like someone who's been around for like multiple arcs, right? Just kind of like die. And I think like this is like the turning point of like, yeah, I think people from this point onward are going to start eating somewhat shit, right? Because like it's like because it's like Edogai was just like a guy in one arc. It was a taxidermist, right? But it's just like finally it's just like Kiranke's dead. So now shit's gonna like start getting a little bit more brutal as they get closer and closer to the real goal, right?
Yeah, the other thing is, I think there's only like, I can only remember 2 more tattooed prisoners offhand.
Yeah.
And I believe both of them are side stories in towns where at least 2 factions are already battling it out.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's like there's not really arcs where you can divert the victims of violence to these one-off characters.
Yeah.
You are like the only people who can die are the core cast members from here on out, and that is kind of awesome, honestly, because now you fucking care. It's also so interesting to see how many people in the 7th division, like named or otherwise, die, because Surumi is like, I've got like 100 and something soldiers, and when you see them all in Al-Bashiri fighting the prisoners, you're like, oh my god, he's got an army. But then you think about it, it's like 100 guys is not a lot of guys.
No, it's not. 100 guys is not a lot at all in terms of like full-scale war. It is like enough to do one battle, maybe, right? And like you can't like have battles on multiple fronts. You can't like hold a line, really. Like you can easily get flanked by like an actual army. You have enough force to be able to take over maybe one fort. That's it.
Yeah. Like you can see why Surumi's so desperate to get the gold. When everyone's like, yeah, of course we need financing. We have like no guys and we're losing guys on this mission. It is truly our last resort, all or nothing goal.
Yeah. But I think that's like basically the fight on the ice caps. We didn't talk too much about it, but we like talked about it a lot like beforehand, where it's just man, dude, like
it's cool.
It was just a cool fucking, like, this guy just knows how to fucking have like a good area for a fight. It's never like the background never matters in a fight, right? It's just like where they are always matters, right?
Yeah, I love I've been waiting for a moment to bring it up. I love when they're running from the Wolverine, they're like, oh my god, we're in like one of the hottest saunas, and then they end up like falling into the ice, and it's like it's one of those shock hot springs where you go like cold and hot back and forth, and it's like, what a cool place to make this all of a sudden. And like, I don't know, the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Like, he's just good at like
the sledding dogs.
The sledding dogs, yeah.
It's just like everything is just so creative and well constructed, where it's just like everything matters into this nice little like fun like thing where it's just like the props and everything, the ice stalagmite oh yeah, there's like the new 7th division guys at the end with the ice stalagmite caves, like the guy who's just like, I just have a shitload of revolvers I stole from the Russians. I'm like, I love it that he's just dual wielding revolvers. I think finally a new guy just dropped. Like new guy just dropped. It's dope. And then now also on top of it, like the 7th division have their own Ainu guy. And it's interesting that they didn't tell the entire 7th division like what the fuck is going on, right? Because like
they clearly, it's funny, there's this great, it's like Usami and Ogata, I think, and it's like one of those memes. It's just like the mad scientist, I heard the mad scientist who does experiments on us likes me better than you. And like, that really is the entire, like, Tsurumi's got the 7th division, but like a lot of them are kind of ordinary soldiers who are down on their luck. And the people who are like really deep in it and are ride or die for specifically Tsurumi rather than like the idea of Tsurumi's goal are the ones who are closest. And Tsurumi's like, these are the guys I trust. Like, and you can tell because like, you remember how Koito is introduced and he just walks in and fucking kills a guy because he's like, Tsurumi told me to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And I bet he's right. And he is right. And so it's very funny that like
these two guys are two.
Go ahead.
The revolver guy and then the 7th division Ainu guy. It's just like they're too smart. That like literally they start putting it together. Like just because it's just like it's like, oh, you heard a tattooed guy was here and that's why you're here in the first place. And it's like now they know, and they figured out the skinning thing themselves as well, where it's just like obviously this pattern means we have to skin these guys, right?
And it's so funny because the Ainu guy's like, I wanted to make sure you came out to find me so that you could come back and claim the skin because I was afraid that Nikaido and Usami would steal it and give it to Tsurumi. This is the way we're going to get ourselves in with Tsurumi. And he's like, you're so smart. And it's like, that is smart. I love that.
And that's why Tsurumi didn't tell you this stuff. And like, obviously him being Ainu, he probably has his own personal stakes into the situation as well, which is nice. Like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this situation evolves with the new characters and just and finishing off the manga, right? Like, because like from here on, it's just
reading session is going to be
the last
until
one.
the end. I think it's probably like 117
114 chapters because the last chapter is 314. So yeah, I don't know. Only 3 sessions, which is nice. So yeah, I can't think of anything else to talk about. So like,
do you guys? How are
yeah.
you 13 people enjoying this? Do you have anything else you want to remark on?
Yeah, anything we forgot?
Are you enjoying Golden Kamuy?
Are you enjoying the Golden Come?
Golden Kamuy.
Kamuy.
That battle is next time. Get ready.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I remember it.
When Koito spills wine over Sugimoto, he asks for a glass himself and chucks it
in Koito's head. Yeah. I fucking love that bit.
Koito and Sugimoto are such... It's like, you said that the stains of this never get out, correct? Chuck. Yeah, this is definitely a manga that reading a second time is... It is actually quite subtle writing in a lot of ways, so it is good to read it a second time.
I gotta lying about Sugimoto's dying words to Cipro is great. Yeah, it was a very much like he calls me Riza when we're alone moment, where it's like, and what did he say he wanted to eat? And it's just like he just said what he would say. Instead, it's just like, no, he'd say the peaches, asshole. I know you're lying.
I love, I'm sure everyone likes anglerfish nabe like me. That's so funny. It's like Ogata is so smart, but that's such a dumb thing for him to like. Yeah, he's like way too into the idea of like what would a Sirpa want a person to say, and like everyone's like me. That's such a great read on it.
And it shows that Ogata, while he pretends to not care, he is listening to everything everyone is saying. Because he was saying everything that Sugimoto would say up until that one point where it was the one thing he didn't know. Right? Like, it's just so fucking nice.
Yeah, I think it's something I probably would have dropped a while ago if it weren't for book club. Some of the fights and survival bits kind of drag for me, but it keeps ramping up and getting better. Yeah, reading the first 100 chapters, I was like, to be honest, that is the one thing. I do think the anime makes the period of time from the fishery serial killer guy, the Ianaga hotel arc, and the horse racing stuff, it makes all of those more interesting. I actually think they're a little boring in the manga.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was reading it. I was like, I do think the first 100 chapters are absolutely the weakest part of Golden Kamuy.
Yeah.
I'm glad you stuck with it because like it is worth it, right? Like it.
Yeah.
I really respect a story where almost every chapter feels necessary by the end. Like there's not a lot of faffing about in Golden Kamuy.
Yeah. So Jack's mentioning forgot the joke where Sugimoto keeps showing everyone the fucking Tanigaki sexy photo. Yeah. God,
I love the author's refusal to play any emotion straight if there's a page flip
Oh
between
yeah.
like the bit where Sugimoto's like, I bet Asirpa's like her like bright blue eyes are probably so happy thinking about this right now, and it just cuts and she's just like, look, I found a big poop, and Shiraishi's just like, that's my shit, you're pointing at my shit, and it's like, it was she was looking at Shiraishi's shit.
Something I really need is the similarities between Ainu and Inuit people. I never heard of the Ainu before, but the convergent evolution is palpable. Yeah, like,
yeah, they're both northern latitude Aboriginal tribes, so it makes total sense.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Something Asirpa taught me ended up saving the day again, and they are moving backward.
Yeah. God.
I also really like, we touched on it a little with the eyeballs drawn on assholes, or the buttholes.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, I really like how genuinely, like, if you ever think about how, like, back in the day, stuff must have been so boring, I love the little moments of people, maybe not, like, being friends all the time, if it's, you know, like, Sugimoto hanging out with, Koito and Tsukishima, but I feel like people do, like, all the characters do have these small moments of, like, self-entertainment that are very humanizing that I really like, and
Yeah.
they're always presented with kind of a flatness that I find really charming.
Yeah, with the eyes drawn on the butt cheeks is just like a very like, they were just so bored and it was just like we had the same idea and then just like show each other the ass and it's like, oh, they had the same idea, okay. Like, it's just so genuine. Something so genuine about it, not being a giant gag and lying flat. It's just like, this is just something they did. It's like, cool.
Yep. I don't know. I like it. It makes the journey feel more realistic. Especially, that's like one of my least favorite things when something like, I can't think of a better example, something like Kingdom Hearts is like, this is the big moment between these two friends, and I'm like, are they friends? You're
Did they piss on each other?
Did they piss on each other? No, but like there haven't been the this is maybe, I might get some flack for this example, but I was talking with Amy about Amy really likes Lord of the Rings, and obviously because she's Amy has read all the books, and she like, we watched them, and I was like, I saw these once years ago and wasn't really into them, and then I watched them again with Amy, and she was like, here's all the editor's notes, like, here's what this is supposed to be, and here's what they're adapting, but like, you know, the books are so thick they couldn't really do anything, and I was like, that's interesting. And at the end of the first Lord of the Rings movie, there's this big moment where Boromir, whoever Sean Bean is, like, gets corrupted by the ring and tries to kill Frodo for it. And he's like, no, oh no, the ring. And I was like, the first time I watched this, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? He didn't do anything the whole, like, almost 2-hour-long movie. And they're acting like it's a big deal. I don't even know him. And Amy's like, yeah, this sucks because in the books, he's sort of like a golden boy who's like too pure, too good for this world. So this is the moment confirming that no matter how good a person is, the ring will corrupt them. And in the books, he's the one who's always trying to protect the hobbits. So this is a big moment. But they kind of didn't adapt any of that into the movie, other than like some shots of Sean Bean talking to the hobbits when it's just the entire party in like montage sections. And I'm like, yeah, they didn't do the work. So as far as I know, these two don't have a dynamic at all. They're functionally like co-worker acquaintances. And she's like, yeah, I guess that's fair. That's a shame. And I think the little stupid moments do a lot to solidify character motivations for me, where it's just like, these people, I would say that like Shiraishi Asirpa and Sugimoto are friends by this point, and maybe Tanigaki is also friends with them. And everyone else, I'm like, I don't think I'd call them friends, but I do think they've had moments with each other, and I don't know, I think that matters.
Yeah, the humanization of them, right? Where it's just like, even though maybe in like a few chapters from now they'll be fighting to the death, there were moments where it's just like they did laugh, they did like all this other stuff, right? So it's just like there might be a potential hesitation to kill if you're not Ogata, you know?
Yeah. God, I love Ogata so much.
But yeah.
That fucking Ichikado, like, if you're going to eavesdrop, just come out here, and just that 3-panel sequence of Ogata being up is so funny.
Just a cat. Oh.
I love that's the like Ogata's like one of the scariest characters besides Usami. Usami's nuts. You haven't seen much of him yet, but he's a fucking freak. Like I love their like Ogata's so scary, Tsurumi's really scary, but at the same time, they're not like how do I phrase this? They're not absent from jokes in the and it's not that like they make jokes or sometimes be silly, but like this is the best comparison I have. In the original Ace Attorney trilogy, you've got a different prosecutor fighting against you each game. And so in the first one, it's Edgeworth, and he's the best one for a lot of reasons. And then it's Franziska von Karma, and then it's Godot. And I actively don't like the two non-Edgeworth ones because when you're in court with Edgeworth, Edgeworth gets thrown around by the winds of the stupid Ace Attorney universe just as much as you do. And like the witnesses fuck with him. Like he's not exempt from the gags. He's not too good for it. And then the other two prosecutors are too good for it. They never play along. They don't yes and any of like the improv. They're just like, you're an idiot and I refuse to engage. So they're boring. They're not fucking fun. And I love that Ogata and Tsurumi are allowed to be involved in the humor of the series as much as the other characters are, even though they're so scary. Like all the moments where it's like, here's Ogata drawn as a cat, like sniffing someone's hand or sniffing this thing and going, yeah, like there's no reason to do that. It's just funny. And like Tsurumi has moments where he's just like crazy and scary, like when you first meet him and he shoves the dongo stick through Sugimoto's head. But like then there's also moments where he's just being like a little silly and like it's not an intimidation tactic.
He's addicted to morphine. That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I also love how like in the Lightning Ogin chapters, we talked about this last time. I like that even when Tsurumi does have secondary goals of like I want the tattooed skins, he is still law enforcement and does a good job as law. It makes him feel way more believable that other people in his organization would trust him.
Yeah. Right. He's just some crazy guy who popped up. It's just like, no, he does his job and worked his way up the ranks probably very honestly. Right? Kind of. Maybe.
Partially.
Like, partially.
He's deeply dishonest, but he also is genuinely extremely competent at his job.
Mm-hmm.
So like even if you were to clock him as a coworker and be like, this guy is bad news, and you told a superior, and even if that superior didn't like him, he'd be like, he is literally too useful to get rid of. Like I know that will probably bite me in the ass, but like this guy is really good at enforcing justice. God, that fucking moment when I think it might be like Tsukishima or someone is like, how are we gonna get away with invading Abashiri and like saying all these like all your lies are believable, but like what if one of the survivors talks and Tsurumi just goes, survivors?
Yeah.
What do you mean? And
it's
like, oh my god.
And everyone starts getting shot up. Oh, it's just great. Oh man.
Yeah, we're wrapping up. I also want to say I don't know if you guys are reading physical or not. I think Golden Kamuy has some of the best volume covers of any manga I've ever read.
I deeply enjoy, personally, I know it's a little boring, but I love character, bright color background. That's it. That's my favorite types of manga covers. And it's just like, I know it's less artistic than like other shit, but it's just like, I just love bright color and character. That's it.
I mean, they're not even empty background. Like if you look at the full spread, like if you open the cover, the back cover and look at it from behind, they usually have a second character on the back and they are in a relevant background that is drawn, but they're like always drawn in these like beautiful, weird, like JoJo alt color, like bisexual lighting snowfields and shit. And the reason I brought that up is because I was thinking of Tsurumi invading Abashiri, and there's this, I think it's volume 13. There's this incredible black, white, and gold, red and gold cover of Tsurumi using a machine gun, and the shell casings are flying around him, and it looks so fucking cool.
It's just I just love all these covers, bro. Like, because like there's obviously Golden Kamuy, then I think Blue Blue Lock
Blue Lock?
covers are also kind of like this. Like, let me pull it up for chat. But like Blue Lock covers are also just kind of like this as well, right? Then I think also just like Go Loser Ranger covers are also like this. Yeah, like
Yeah,
this.
you know
right?
what? You know what this is in part. This sort of ties into. Not to always be talking about this. Hang on, I need to adjust my keyboard.
Yeah.
Not to always be talking about this, but it is now unfortunately a special interest. I have 10,000 hours in. I did cut this from the anime opening video because I couldn't find a place to put it, but I think it's so interesting to look over time as anime openings and manga covers, which usually stylistically are very similar to each other.
Yeah.
Over time, the iconography of the mid 2020s, it's so fun because like I couldn't tell you what the 2010s looks like stylistically, but like you know how like it's like, oh, 80s is like synth and like movies looked like this, the audio sounded like this, and like 70s it was like hippie and bright psychedelic colors, druggish. 90s was more grunge, 2000s was like very post 9/11 black white realism,
Yeah.
like Twilight, Christopher Nolan Batman movie kind of energy. 2020s for anime openings and manga covers, for some reason we're diving hardcore back into bright colors, and I love
it's
like
great.
bright colors, flat stuff, fake traditional texture of art is really important. So like the Blue Lock covers and the Blue Lock opening are like super saturated Go Loser Rangers. I talk about this a little in one of the side videos. But yeah, like I like being able to tell again, being like, I could, even if I've never seen this opening before, it's like this is from 2024. I can just tell because now everything is looking like this. But do you have anything else?
Like I think about this sometimes where like it's so slow for like the anime industry to evolve. And the reason I say this is because it relies on a manga being made and then for 5 years later for it to be adapted, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like the animes that you saw in 2010s and classified like the 2010s vision were actually something made in like 07, 06 actually. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like interesting to think about like the delayed reaction of the evolution of a medium being based on something that like, you know, takes time, right? And like, obviously the thought process is like, I mean, the process of making an anime is a lot faster than it used to be, but like, I don't know, it's just like, so like a lot of the things take a long time to get adaptations, that it's just like you're as a manga reader, like 10 years later I just see an anime get adapted that I read 10 years ago and I go, why the fuck is this a thing now, after I like completely forgot about it, you know? It's just something neat to think about.
Yeah. Any other Golden Kamuy stuff? I was actually gonna basically close out by answering this question that Benedict ID just asked, but yeah. All right. Yeah, how close is the anime opening video? Very, very close. I actually originally was intending to get out the Patreon version today. It is for sure, I know I've been saying this with estimations, it is for sure going to be out on Patreon this week. So I can't promise anything regarding the YouTube upload, but the video itself is an hour and 15 minutes or so. I'm currently writing about 100 and something, like maybe 60, maybe like
Yellow has to basically go through all the footage and then credit every single instance of where we got the footage and reference it, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot. We have a lot.
I'm doing a lot of annotations. I'm putting numbers on every single clip in the video to be like, here's what they're from.
It's a lot of annoying clerical shit.
I'm trying to make this look as academic as possible to have a legal defense for why I should be able to upload this video, even though I should just legally be able to upload it. About copyright. But that's why I can guarantee a Patreon release, but not a other one. So also, I haven't been like rendering as I go, and I rendered one preview clip to show Flair because Flair does artwork for this, and there were a lot of weird errors, so I'm gonna be fighting against a bunch of stupid fucking render errors.
Yeah.
That'll take a long time, so I'm expecting a couple days of tweaking, but and then I'm expecting like another day or two of rendering the side stuff, because once it is all out, sometime this week, for real, the hour 15-minute video will be out, and I think it's really good. I'm very, very proud of it. Especially now that
really
there's
good.
music, and it's really good. I think it's really good. I'm gonna go back to working on it right after this. There's that. Amy and I did our personal top and bottom 5, which is I think another hour-long video.
Yeah.
We have an edited down version of the 10-hour stream we did around a year ago for patrons exclusively that we took down immediately for legal reasons.
Yeah.
That's a 7-hour video. So there's like in total almost 10 hours of Patreon content this week.
Yippee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys know what to do. Next book club will be March 29th. Yippee! March 29th,
Yippee.
baby. Same time, 2 p.m. EST. We're going to the end, baby. So from here to chapter like 314, you know what it is Saturday the start of the end of the week? Saturday is technically the end of the week.
It's the end. Yeah.
It's stupid though. I hate it. But yeah.
It's the weekend.
It's the weekend. And then what's Sunday, huh?
Sunday I will allow people saying is the start of the end. Saturday's definitely the end though.
Yeah, okay. But yeah. There you go, people. You know your assignment. All 16 of you fly free, read Golden Kamuy, come back in a couple weeks. You know about it.
I'll probably type out some actual like questions this time of like we did, because I think this, since this is a multi-installation one, I can actually have stuff to say and we can have some discussion questions. But obviously this fucking huge video and all that shit is going to be priority. So look for the updated post after this.
Bye, chat.
Bye.